Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on the perfect storm. My name is John O'Keefe. Just want to make sure everybody can hear me here. And it looks like the little mic is moving. Great. Okay, my name is John O'Keefe. I'm excited to be here with you today. A couple of quick housekeeping things before we get going. This is going to be recorded and sent out to you. At the end of the presentation, I'll present my email address. It's also at the beginning of the presentation. If you want to reach out to me directly with any questions, I'm happy to do that. If you have questions while we are going through the presentation, please feel free to drop them either in the Q&A or the chat. I will check and get to them as soon as we can. We should have a few minutes for questions at the end if there's something that's really kind of burning in your brain as I'm going through this. And today's format will follow the what, so what, and now what format. And I'll go over that a little bit in a second. So welcome again. That's me. That's my email address, jedijohn@logicaloperations.com. I am excited to be here with you today to talk a little bit about something that I'm calling the perfect storm. A lot of other people may coin it as something different, but it is something that is happening in the world today that's going to impact cybersecurity training. So let's dive into it a little bit here, because really no one cares about my introduction screen. We've all seen this before. So let's just move on. So as I mentioned, today's format is going to follow our what, so what, and now what format. The first thing I'll be doing is describing what is the perfect storm. What do I mean when I say that? What are the factors that are contributing to it? And kind of what is this concept here? The second thing we're going to go through is the so what. And I have down here, it's a huge training opportunity. That's obviously why you're here. You're part of a training organization. You want to figure out how this so-called perfect storm can impact your business. And then now what? We're going to go through some cybersecurity training opportunities, cover some objections that are common to come up, talk about some logical operations, products and certifications. We'll keep it pretty brief today. Again, like to come in around 25 minutes or so for this presentation to leave some time for some questions. This is by no means an all look, an all comprehensive look at cybersecurity. That would take days to do. So this is a quick look at something that we're calling here at LO the perfect storm. So what is it? What is the perfect storm? The perfect storm is the world in which we live right now, especially after the last 2 years of COVID. It contains some major key elements that we should talk about here. The first is the ever-present cybersecurity skills gap. This isn't anything new, but it continues to increase year over year. According to the ISSA, 70% of all organizations are negatively impacted by the shortage of cybersecurity professionals. Now, if you look at what that means 7 out of 10 businesses have a problem with this skills gap. And it is not a challenge to go on Indeed and see that there are lots of organizations hiring for folks in the IT sector, specifically folks with security-based skill sets. This is an absolutely, again, growing field that doesn't have enough people who are practitioners of cybersecurity in it. So all of your businesses out there, at least 7 out of the 10 that you're talking to on a day-to-day basis, are going to be struggling with this cybersecurity skills gap. The next thing they're going to be struggling with is the Great Resignation. Now, this is a term you may have heard in media or popular culture, and what it refers to is the voluntary resignations of over 48 million employees that occurred in 2021 and is still continuing into 2022. According to SHRM, More than 3.95 million workers quit their jobs each month in 2021, and that is expected to continue into 2022. Why is that happening? Well, there's a lot of reasons. Many people have been underemployed for a long time, and they're starting to recognize their own value and their own worth. Many people have turned to looking for more lucrative careers, given the pay scale at many places. They want jobs that pay better, that are advantageous to them, etc. So they're looking for something like that. And also, you've got the work from home boom, which is changing the way that people are viewing their own time in their own space. So while some people want to see a return to kind of the 8 to 5 office life, most employees do not. And so we've got this great resignation happening. Now, you would think that cybersecurity would be not impacted by the Great Resignation, but it is, because what you have is a lot of lifers who have failed to move up, who just want out of the stress. You have some mid to senior level professionals who don't want to deal with the aspects of cybersecurity more, so they want to get out. So not only do we already have a cybersecurity skills gap, we have people leaving the profession currently to pursue other interests. So this leaves us with a massive hole organizationally inside of most companies in the IT department around security. Now, of course, I don't need to tell you what's been going on in the world, but you can look at what's happened in the world through Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, and you can understand why organizations are super worried about this. In a period of 48 hours after Russia invaded Ukraine, the US saw an 800% increase in cybersecurity attacks targeting both the public and the private sector from Russian entities and hacking collectives. So we have a situation in which there's already a cybersecurity skills gap, people are leaving jobs, and there are foreign entities out there whose only choice to wage war on us is to do it in the cyber front. On top of that, cyber insurance is growing at an incredibly rapid rate. As a matter of fact, according to Fortune Business Insights, cybersecurity is going to be cybersecurity insurance is going to be a $37 billion industry by 2028. It is currently a $7 billion industry. So we're seeing a rapid rise in organizations that want cyber insurance. And one of the key clauses of cyber insurance is going to be having cybersecurity policies, practices, and staff in place. So organizations, not only do they have a skills gap, not only are people leaving their IT departments, not only is there being a war waged on them, but they have a huge compliance piece in cyber insurance growth and also in the cybersecurity maturity model certification. CMMC is a DoD directive that is based on NIST 800-171 and DFARS. And it is something we're not going to dive deep into. We have a previous recording on CMMC if you're interested in learning more, but it will absolutely drive cybersecurity best practices and adoption all through the market, because over 350,000 organizations are going to be impacted by this. So this is the perfect storm, a world in which there aren't enough cybersecurity professionals. Some of the ones that are in cybersecurity are leaving. There's a war being waged on us on the cyber war front, and organizations have new regulatory and insurance policies that they need to follow and have in place in both cybersecurity insurance and CMMC. So this is our perfect storm. Now you may be saying to yourself, so what, John? I knew that coming into this. Okay, let's talk about so what. There's a couple more facts for you before we really tell you why this is important. Number one, college attendance is dropping, and it is dropping rapidly. 1 million fewer people went to college in 2021 than 2019, And those numbers are expected to rise. That means that younger people are foregoing a standard college education and looking for some other way to make their name in the world. Also, at the same time, we see that a lot of companies are starting to drop the requirement of the college degree. When I was growing up, if you didn't have a bachelor's degree, you basically couldn't do anything. But now major tech companies like Facebook, Google, Twitter, etc., they are less interested in your college acumen, and they're more interested in your portfolio of projects or your certifications or any way in which you can show that you would be a valuable employee. So college is starting to devalue, especially for the younger generation, the generation that's going to be looking for careers in the next few years. Now, another thing that's from a training perspective that we've noticed here is that logical operations has seen a large drop in application training, things like basic Excel or Word. And we've seen a big rise in high value certifications. So that means that organizations are less willing to send employees to go get a one-day Excel class, but more willing to send employees to get a certification that matters, like an IT certification. One other thing you want to consider is that with this rapid rise of data being collected and the new fields of artificial intelligence and data science, there's going to be new jobs, new careers, new businesses in the next 10 years that didn't exist previously and are doing things that we never thought were really possible. If you look at the year 2004 through 2010, you'll see Facebook, you'll see YouTube, you'll see Instagram, you'll see Twitter. All of these things were invented in that 5-year time frame, or developed and released to the public in the 5-year time frame. So there will be new organizations, new businesses, all of this that's kind of coinciding with the perfect storm. Again, we know that tons of people are leaving their jobs also. And that means that, a lot of people are looking for that at-home work experience, which is something that is pretty prevalent in IT. So all of this combined gives you your so what here. What does this mean for training? One, in the next 3 years, we're going to see an explosion of cybersecurity growth. And that cybersecurity growth is going to go far beyond what has been the industry staple so far, which is the CompTIA Big Three. Organizations are going to start to look at those certifications as absolutely baseline, and they're going to start wanting to push beyond that, because right now their training budgets are being reallocated for mission critical training in the IT space to help prevent against all of the bad actors that are out there. So right now is the perfect time for an industry boom in certification training. Your customers that are out there are going to want help closing the skills gap. And that is something that you can do. The second thing that this means for training is that there's going to be a lot of career changers or individuals who are foregoing college and looking for skills and competency-based trainings that revolve around certifications. One of the career paths that they may choose or elect into is IT and security, which means that there's going to be a whole new crop of individuals out there who are going to want to come in and take training on cybersecurity. That's what they're going to want to do for a living. They know it's a lucrative career. They're trying to fill a skills gap, but they don't want to go to college for it. So that is a potentially new audience for many of you out there, the younger crowd, the kids ages 18 to 25, who are just not going the traditional route when it comes to training. Then finally, we're going to see an explosion, an absolute explosion in organizations that are attempting to shore up their cyber defenses through their known weakest link, which is their end user. Verifiable end user awareness training is going to grow in the next 5 years to keep pace with insurance growth. cybersecurity insurance organizations are going to start, and some of them already do, requiring training around basic stuff, right? I'm not talking about the advanced upper echelon of cybersecurity, although many cybersecurity insurances policies will want some of that as well. But the most predominant thing we've seen in cybersecurity insurance policies, as we've studied them, as they've come out, as it's become more in vogue to get one, is that the end user, the line level user, the person who uses a laptop every day at work but isn't in the IT department, what type of training do they have? Because 90% of all cybersecurity incidences are caused by end users. So we've got the perfect storm. We've got this moment in time where there's not enough security professionals. There's lots of people looking for new jobs. There's all sorts of stuff going on in the world. And there's federal regulations and cybersecurity insurance pushing organizations towards having better cybersecurity programs. And what does that mean for you? It means that cybersecurity training beyond CompTIA is going to explode, beyond the big three. So you'll be looking at more advanced certifications. There's going to be tons of career changers and new students coming who are foregoing college that are going to want to get into this career to fill that skills gap. And you're going to have an explosive growth in verifiable end user awareness training, because this is a big field that organizations will have to tackle as they try and avoid being hacked, and they try and keep everything above board for their insurance companies. All right, so now what do we do with this? So what are IT departments struggling with? From a sales perspective or from an organizational perspective, your predominant customers are probably in the IT department or the HR department conducting through the IT department. The first thing they're going to do is they're going to want to they're all trying to find qualified candidates to hire. Whether they tell you this or not, they probably have a job posting somewhere for someone in their IT department. Maybe somebody left and they need to fill a skills gap. Maybe they've realized that the person that is doing a job isn't necessarily prepared for that job, but they're looking to hire. And of course, because there's such a big skills gap, this is a huge problem for most organizations. So for finding qualified candidates to hire, when you're talking to an IT person, the first suggestion you should always have is, do you have any internal employees that we can upskill? That will always be cheaper and easier than trying to hire someone. And what most organizations don't realize is that once you get beyond Security Plus, there are other certifications out there, depending on what your roles are, that you can offer them. Things like CyberSec First Responder, things like Cyber Secure Coder, CISSP, CISA, CISM, etc. The logical operations can help you with the courseware on to help upskill their IT employees. You can also let them know, depending on what your audience pool looks like, that you may be able to help them with qualified candidates, because you're going to start reaching out to all of the younger crowd that you have in your database, or advertising to the younger crowd, and getting them to realize that instead of going to college, they can come take a couple certs from you and get job placed. So that's an amazing thing for you to be able to offer when you're talking to an IT department and they're struggling finding qualified candidates. If your IT department is struggling with an increase in cybersecurity attacks, which many are, you can talk to them about protecting their organization with end user awareness training. Oftentimes, the IT director, the first thing they'll think about is the advanced IT systems. But what they forget is that most attacks are end user problems. And while they may have their own internal end user awareness training, you can offer them a program like CyberSafe, which has verifiable results and also has reporting mechanisms in it. So that way, for compliance, they can actually pull full reports. If they're also seeing an increase in cyber attacks, you can again offer to upskill the security employees. If they think this is simply a training issue, there are advanced training classes and certifications that you can offer that can absolutely help with this. CFR, for example, really focuses on the NIST 800, and that is something that's really important when it comes to IT departments right now. If they tell you they're losing good employees, let them know that you've got great training. You've got training beyond what they already have, because that can help keep great employees. And you can help take the load off of the IT department, again, with that end user awareness training. Finally, when it comes to CMMC or cyber insurance, if you are part of the CMMC ecosystem or are interested in becoming part of it, you can offer that training, which is something that over 350,000 organizations are likely going to need. And again, you can also offer them end user awareness training to upskill all of their employees. That also comes with the compliance reporting necessary in CyberSafe. So what exactly does that look like then? Looks like this. When you're talking to an organization, everyone needs CyberSafe. CyberSafe is an end user awareness training class. We have a special promotion running right now where Logical Operations will provide the courseware and the instructor for up to 4 classes for you. And you can get in touch with your sales rep if you're interested in learning more about that. But CyberSafe is for everyone. CyberSec First Responder, a certification offered through SuitNexus with courseware through Logical Operations, is for anyone who's in the IT space, security and IT staff. We have Cybersecure Coder certification offered through SuitNexus with courseware from Logical Operations. Again, any programmers or engineers in the security space. So you can talk to an IT person really quickly about end user awareness training and cover their fears about being hacked, as well as their fears about cybersecurity insurance. You can help upskill their employees beyond the CompTIA Big 3 with CyberSec First Responder, Cybersecure Coder. And then if they are a CMMC interested shop, if they do business with the federal government, there is CMMC CCP training that you can get from Logical Operations, and we can help guide you through the process of what that will look like. Now you'll hear some common objections. These are pretty simple things that you'll probably hear on your phone calls because the person you're talking to is exasperated. They don't have enough time to get everything done. And quite frankly, they feel like they've got it under control and they don't want to admit that they don't. So on your phone calls with your IT directors, one of the best things you can ask is, what are you guys doing for end user awareness training? How are you fulfilling any of your cyber insurance and compliance mandates? And you can just ask. They may say they have their own internal team doing it. That's one answer we hear pretty frequently. The other thing you may hear is we don't have budget. Of course, these are two very simple objections. When they don't tell you they all have their own team doing it, CyberSafe can save that team a ton of time and let them get back to more mission critical stuff. And CyberSafe also validates employees internally. If they don't have time or budget, the real question is that, do you have the time or budget for if your cybersecurity insurance policy is deemed invalid? Do you have time and budget for what to do if you've been hacked? Because these are things that you're trying to prevent. These are very common objections, very common ways to overcome them. But the first thing in this world of the perfect storm is CyberSafe. Get every employee at your organization ready to handle a phishing email, ready to handle a social engineering attack, ready to handle the best way to find company resources in an acceptable use policy. Get them to know the difference between HTTP and HTTPS. All of these kind of basic online things that many of us take for granted, most people don't know anything about. So CyberSafe is your first stop. Your second stop is, of course, going to be the more advanced classes. If you know you've done a lot of CompTIA training for an organization, and you find out they're struggling with either finding new personnel or keeping people in the IT staff, these are advanced certifications that come after the CompTIA Big 3, so A+, Net+, Security+, for either security professionals or application designers. If you can help them skill up those employees, they will be forever grateful, because this also solves their perfect storm problem, and that they're dealing with the skills gap. They put out a resume or they put out a job posting onto Indeed, and they don't get any hits of anyone who is qualified to do the job. So they're either going to hire someone who's unqualified, or they're going to take an internal employee and upskill them. Either way, you've got the solution to help them be more qualified in cybersec first responder and cybersecure coder. Finally, if you are fortunate enough to be on the phone with someone and get into a CMMC conversation, there are a lot of great objections they're going to throw your way. The one thing I'll tell you is that CMMC is happening. CMMC 2.0 is a big deal. If you haven't checked it out, our video is available on YouTube for the CMMC. I suggest you check that out, and that can help you really understand the cybersecurity maturity model certification. For now, if you get somebody who's interested in talking CMMC, they know their business, they're pretty serious, and you can contact Logical Operations and we can help you get into the CMMC game. If you're already in the CMMC game, then you don't even need to worry about this because you're already doing all this stuff and you're getting at it right now. And with that, our 30 minutes is almost over. So I want to give you a chance to ask any questions that you might have either in the chat or the Q&A. I want to remind you that my email address is jedijohn@logicaloperations.com. You can contact me and I will gladly provide you with any answers that you might have to your questions. We also publish a monthly newsletter called Logically Speaking. If you are not receiving that, you can go to logicaloperations.com and go to our Insights button. There you'll find our newsletters. You can see all of the old ones and you can subscribe to get the new one. And you can also follow us on our social media. We currently have a YouTube channel, Logical Operations. We have Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and we just started a TikTok. The goal of following us on social media, of course, is that we're going to start taking some of these 30-minute experiences and condensing them down into shorter videos. So that way you can learn as you're learning everything else now while scrolling through your social media. And I'm sure each and every one of you will be so excited to see me and my face pop up on your Instagram with a 1-minute long fact. I bet that will be the highlight of everybody's day, especially when you're scrolling on TikTok. No, I do not dance, but if I get enough requests, maybe I'll try. And with that, we've got a couple minutes left. So please feel free to ask any questions in the chat and I will gladly answer them. If you don't have any questions, then I am John O'Keefe. You've been a really great audience. This is the end of our April Tech Talk on the perfect storm. And we will see you next month for a Tech Talk around the CyberSafe class, where we'll talk a little bit more about what's in the class and how to sell it.